Once upon a time in a kingdom far, far away, there lived a rich and powerful king with a son who was the apple of his eye. The young prince was said to be the most handsome man in the kingdom with a heart of gold. He had everything that one could possibly desire, but he was still not satisfied. One day, the king summoned his son and said, "My son, you have all the luxuries one can ask for. You have servants to wait on you hand and foot. Everything is given to you on a platter just because you are the prince. But I see a cloud of discontent hanging over your head. Tell me, what is it that you desire?" The prince replied, "Oh, father, I want to go out into the world and live among the common folk. I want to experience life like they do. I'm tired of living this pampered life." The king was shocked by his son's words. He said, "You may have everything you desire, but you don't know how to be thankful. How can you even think of living like the commoners when you're born to be a king? Don't you know their lives are full of pain, suffering, and struggle? Why would you even wish to live such a life?" But the prince insisted, "I want to go out into the world and experience life for myself, whether it is good or bad. I will face it all." Seeing his son's determination, the king finally gave in and allowed him to leave the kingdom. He gave the prince a small bag of gold coins and some clothes and told him, "You have 1 month's worth of provisions in that bag, and once those are over, you must work hard to earn your food and shelter. This will give you an idea of how the commoners survive, and after a month, return here. If you still want to be among them, I won't stop you, but I'm sure by then you'll realize how wonderful it is to be a prince." The prince thanked his father and left the kingdom. When he first stepped into the village, he saw people living in dirty huts, children crying and begging for food, and old people without anyone to take care of them. It was a heartbreaking sight. He walked around the village, watching and learning about their way of life. After a few days, his clothes became torn and dirty, and he started to feel the real hardships of being a pauper. However, despite all the suffering he witnessed, he did not regret his decision. One day, he came across a wise old man sitting under a tree. The prince sat down next to him and asked, "Respected sir, why do these people have to suffer so much? They work hard, yet they can barely afford food. Why does God allow such poverty and hunger in the world?" The old man replied, "My son, it is not God who has created this poverty. It is the people themselves who have brought this suffering upon themselves. Through their own actions, these people have strayed away from the righteous path and have forgotten to be grateful for what they have. That is why they face these hardships. As for God, He has blessed everyone equally. It is up to each individual to use their blessings wisely and live a life of honesty and hard work. If they do so, they will never have to beg for food or money. Their lives will be filled with happiness and contentment." The prince pondered over the old man's words. He realized that he, too, had been ungrateful and pampered. He had everything, yet he was not satisfied. The old man continued, "There is no harm in wanting to experience life like others. But if you truly want to help these people, you should not just live like them. You should work hard to improve their lives. Instead of complaining about their hardships, you should try to alleviate their suffering. If you want to learn about their lives, you should walk a mile in their shoes and help them carry their burdens. Only then will you understand what it means to live like the commoners." The prince felt ashamed for thinking that he could learn about their lives just by observing from the sidelines. He had not realized the true meaning of empathy until now. He thanked the old man for his guidance and decided to put it into practice. From that day on, he started working in the fields alongside the peasants. He planted crops, took care of the animals, and helped the villagers with their daily tasks. He did not complain or ask for anything in return. Instead, he worked hard and shared whatever little he earned with the villagers. To his surprise, the villagers were happy to accept his help. They appreciated his efforts and welcomed him as one of their own. They taught him how to survive in the harsh environment and shared their food and resources with him. Despite his royal upbringing, the prince was able to adapt to their lifestyle and learned many valuable lessons along the way. One day, while working in the fields, he met a young woman named Alara. She was beautiful and kind-hearted and had a positive attitude that attracted the prince. They quickly became friends and he started spending more time with her. Over time, His feelings for her grew deeper, and he realized that he had fallen in love. The prince had never felt this way before, and he was unsure how to deal with his emotions. Meanwhile, back at the palace, the king and the royal family were worried about the prince. It had been almost 2 months since he had left the kingdom, and there was still no news of his return. The king was afraid that something might have happened to him, but he tried to stay hopeful. One day, a messenger arrived from the village with a letter from the prince. The king opened the letter and read, "Dear father, I am happy to inform you that I have found true love in a village. Her name is Alara, and she is the daughter of a poor farmer. I know this may come as a shock, but I hope you will accept her as your future daughter-in-law. I have decided to marry her and settle down in the village. I know I have a duty to serve our kingdom, but I believe that my happiness lies in living a simple life with Alara. I hope you will understand my decision. With love, your son, the prince." The king was deeply disappointed when he read the letter. He had hoped that his son would return to the palace, but it seemed like he had fallen in love with a village girl and wanted to abandon his royal duties. The king was conflicted about what to do next. Finally, the king decided to visit the village and see for himself what was going on. When he arrived at the village, he was surprised to find that everyone loved and respected the prince. They told the king about the prince's hard work and dedication to improving their lives. The king saw how happy and fulfilled his son was in the village, and realized that he couldn't force him to return to the palace. The king went to see the prince and told him, "I have made a terrible mistake, my son. I should have listened to you when you told me about your desire to experience life as a commoner. I'm sorry for not understanding your feelings and for pressuring you to return to the palace. From today onwards, I want you to be happy and live your life the way you want to. If you want to marry Alara, I will accept her as my daughter-in-law. I also want to apologize for the way I treated you throughout your life. I was so focused on maintaining our kingdom's power and wealth that I neglected my only son. I'm sorry for that, my boy. I hope you can forgive me." The prince was shocked by his father's words. He had never imagined that his father would be so understanding and supportive. He apologized for his own mistakes and thanked his father for his forgiveness. The king embraced his son and told him, "I'm so proud of the man you have become, my son. You have shown great strength and determination to live a life of honesty and simplicity. I know you will always be a true and compassionate king, even if you choose not to rule our kingdom. We may not be together physically, but you will always hold a special place in my heart." And that is exactly what happened. The prince married Alara, and they lived happily in the village. Although he was no longer the crown prince, he remained a kind and generous man. His story became a legend, reminding everyone that true happiness comes not from wealth or power, but from living a life of honesty, hard work, and love. So, my dear friends, never let your desire for more lead you away from what you already have. Be grateful for every moment and cherish the blessings that come your way. For it is often in the simplest of things that we find the greatest joy and fulfillment. Thank you for listening to my story, and I wish you a life filled with happiness and contentment.